In the heart of southern Africa, Sentebale, a charity co-founded by Prince Harry in 2006, was meant to be a beacon of hope. Established in memory of his late mother, Princess Diana, it aimed to support children and young people affected by HIV, AIDS, in Lesotho and Botswana. For nearly 2 decades, it operated quietly, its mission untainted by the media storms that swirled around its royal patron. But in 2025, that legacy crumbled, not under the weight of external pressures, but from an internal war that exposed the darker side of ambition, control, and betrayal. At the center of this collapse is Dr. Sophie Chandauka, a Zimbabwean-born corporate lawyer whose formidable resume includes stints at Meta, Morgan Stanley, and biotech giants. As Sentebale's chair, she was a figure of authority and integrity, unafraid to challenge power, even when it bore a royal title. Her accusations against Prince Harry, bullying, harassment, and a calculated campaign to sabotage the charity have shaken the non-profit world and cast a shadow over the Sussex brand. This is not a story of royal feuds or tabloid gossip. It's a tale of a charity's mission derailed by ego, of a woman who stood her ground against a PR machine, and of a legacy that may never recover. What began as a noble effort to honor a mother's compassion has become a battlefield, with Dr. Chandauka wielding documented evidence of manipulation and Harry's team accused of turning a humanitarian cause into a stage for personal branding. From a sabotaged polo match to a public humiliation at a charity event, the details paint a picture of a calculated effort to control, not uplift. This narrative explores the unraveling of Sentebale, the clash between principle and privilege, and the cost of a legacy lost to the pursuit of image. Sentebale was born from grief and purpose. In 2006, Prince Harry, still a young man navigating the loss of his mother, Princess Diana, joined forces with Prince Seeiso of Lesotho to create a charity that would carry forward Diana's compassion. The mission was clear: to provide medical care, education, and psychological support to children and youth affected by HIV, AIDS in southern Africa. For years, Sentebale operated with a quiet dignity, its annual polo matches and grassroots programs earning respect without fanfare. It was a rare corner of Harry's life, untouched by the controversies that followed his marriage to Meghan Markle and their departure from royal duties. The charity's work was tangible clinics in Lesotho, counseling in Botswana, lives changed in communities far from the glare of London or Los Angeles. Harry's involvement gave it global visibility, drawing donors and sponsors who believed in the cause. But beneath the surface, tensions were brewing, not from the communities it served, but from the boardroom where decisions shaped its future. Enter Dr. Sophie Chandauka, appointed chair of Sentebale's board in 2023. A corporate lawyer with a track record of navigating high-stakes environments, Chandauka was no stranger to power. Born in Zimbabwe, she had built a career advising global giants, from tech firms to financial institutions. Her appointment was seen as a bold move, signaling Sentebale's intent to modernize and diversify its leadership. She was not a royal insider, not a figure beholden to palace politics, but a professional driven by principle and a commitment to the charity's mission. Chandauka's vision was ambitious: to expand Sentebale's reach, diversify its funding, and ensure its governance was transparent and accountable. She asked hard questions about financial decisions, donor relationships, and the charity's reliance on high-profile events like the annual polo match. Her approach, while rigorous, was rooted in a desire to protect the organization's integrity. But her insistence on accountability would soon put her at odds with the charity's most prominent patron. The first cracks appeared in 2024 at a charity polo match in Miami, an event meant to raise funds for Sentebale's programs. Harry, a longtime supporter of the match, saw it as an opportunity not just for fundraising but for personal branding. According to Chandauka, he pushed to turn the event into a film spectacle for a Netflix documentary, complete with cameras, scripted moments, and celebrity guests. The plan backfired. The venue, wary of the event becoming a media circus, withdrew its support. Donors, confused by the shift in focus, hesitated to commit. The event collapsed, leaving Sentebale's coffers emptier and its reputation bruised. Chandauka was furious. The polo match was meant to be a heartfelt tribute to the charity's mission, not a backdrop for the Sussexes' media empire. She confronted Harry's team, demanding clarity on why a humanitarian event had been hijacked for personal gain. The response, she claims, was not an explanation, but a campaign to undermine her authority. Tensions escalated at a subsequent Centabale event, where Meghan Markle made an unannounced appearance. As Chandauka stood on stage, prepared to address the crowd as the charity's chair, Meghan reportedly intervened, directing her to step aside for a photo opportunity. The moment was not private. It unfolded in front of staff, donors, and media, a public assertion of dominance that left Chandauka humiliated. Footage of the incident, later shared on social media, showed her ducking under a trophy to reposition herself, her composure intact, but her authority visibly challenged. Meghan's team, sensing the backlash, allegedly pressed Chandauka to issue a statement dismissing any tension. She refused, unwilling to play along with what she saw as a manufactured narrative. Her defiance marked a turning point. From that moment, she claims, the Sussex machine, a term she used to describe Harry and Meghan's PR operation, went into overdrive, targeting her with a campaign of harassment and bullying. Chandauka's accusations are not based on speculation but on a trove of evidence. Emails, meeting minutes, internal messages, and board memos. She alleges that Harry's team orchestrated a deliberate effort to destabilize Centabale. Donors were quietly discouraged from contributing. Board members were pressured to align with Harry, and damaging internal documents were leaked to the press without consultation. The leaks, Chandauka claims, were not about transparency but sabotage, designed to paint her as the source of the charity's troubles. The impact was devastating. Corporate sponsors pulled back, citing concerns about the charity's stability. Staff morale plummeted, with some employees breaking down in meetings and others quietly seeking new jobs. Over 500 workers, dedicated to Centabale's mission, found themselves caught in a storm they didn't create. Programs in Lesotho and Botswana were paused, leaving children without critical support. The charity, once a symbol of hope, was now a battleground. Chandauka's most explosive claim was that Harry's actions constituted misogynoir, a term describing misogyny directed at black women. The accusation carried a bitter irony, given Meghan's public statements about facing similar prejudice within the royal family. Chandauka argued that Harry's attempts to oust her were not just about control, but were laced with racial and gender bias. She pointed to specific incidents, board members comparing her leadership to white minority rule in Rhodesia, and Harry's team dismissing her concerns as overreaching. The charge of misogynoir resonated beyond Centabale, sparking debates about race, power, and privilege. For many, it highlighted a contradiction in the Sussexes' narrative, a couple who championed social justice publicly while, according to Chandauka, undermining a black woman leading a charity for African children. The hypocrisy was glaring, and it fueled a growing backlash against Harry and Meghan's brand. The fallout was swift and brutal. 5 trustees resigned, citing an irreparable breakdown with Chandauka. Prince Sussexes, Harry's co-founder, also stepped down, issuing a joint statement with Harry that described their decision as made with heavy hearts, in solidarity with the board. But Chandauka refused to back down, taking legal action to retain her position and reporting the trustees to the UK Charity Commission for investigation. The resignations triggered a domino effect. Donations dried up, sponsors distanced themselves, and Centabale's operations ground to a halt. Employees described a workplace paralyzed by uncertainty, with entire departments unsure of their future. One staffer summed it up: "We signed up to help kids, not to navigate a royal soap opera." The Charity Commission, aware of governance concerns, launched an inquiry, signaling that the crisis had reached a critical point. As the internal chaos spilled into public view, the media pounced. British journalists, long critical of the Sussexes, seized on Chandauka's allegations. Andrew Pierce, a prominent commentator, called Harry's actions a disgrace, accusing him of becoming the entitled figure he once criticized. The phrase, "he's become what he claimed to hate," went viral, encapsulating a growing sentiment that Harry's departure from the royal family had not freed him from its flaws but amplified them. Social media amplified the controversy, with hashtags like #Sentebale scandal trending on X. Some users defended Harry, arguing that Chandaka's accusations were exaggerated, while others saw her as a whistleblower, exposing a toxic power dynamic. Posts on X highlighted the charity's declining donations since Harry's move to the US, with one user noting a significant correlation between his departure and the loss of funders. Others speculated about deeper cultural clashes, suggesting Chandauka's push for an African-led approach had threatened Harry's control. The true victims of the crisis were the children Sentebale was meant to serve. Programs in Lesotho and Botswana, reliant on consistent funding, were scaled back or suspended. Clinics that provided HIV testing and treatment faced shortages. Counseling services, critical for young people navigating stigma, were put on hold. The ripple effects were felt across communities, where the absence of support meant real lives were impacted. Chandauka's refusal to stay silent came at a cost. She faced online trolling, including racist attacks, forcing her to deactivate her social media accounts. Yet she remained steadfast, attending a charity summit to reaffirm Sentebale's mission. Her presence, calm and resolute, earned a quiet standing ovation from attendees, a stark contrast to Harry's absence. His empty chair at the event spoke volumes, a symbol of a legacy abandoned. For Harry and Meghan, the Sentebale scandal was a turning point. Their brand, once synonymous with rebellion and reform, was now labeled toxic by Chandauka. Meghan's new Venturessa skincare line, a podcast, rumors of a wine label felt disconnected from the chaos they'd left behind. Harry's silence, broken only by a brief statement about his resignation, did little to quell the criticism. Friends of the prince, like Charlie Rayner, expressed his heartbreak over the situation, but their defenses rang hollow against Chandauka's documented evidence. The Charity Commission's inquiry looms large, with Chandauka's binders of emails, memos, and financial reports promising to reveal uncomfortable truths. Board members who initially stayed silent have begun cooperating, their testimony adding weight to her claims. The Sussexes' refusal to engage directly with the allegations has only deepened the perception of guilt, leaving their supporters struggling to defend them. The Sentebale crisis is not just a story of personal conflict. It's a case study in the dangers of unchecked ambition and the misuse of influence. Several factors contributed to the charity's unraveling, each rooted in a clash of values and priorities. Ego over mission. Harry's decision to prioritize a Netflix deal over a charity fundraiser reveals a fundamental misalignment. Sentebale was meant to honor his mother's legacy, but his actions suggest it became a tool for personal branding. The polo match debacle, with its focus on cameras and celebrity, underscores how fame can overshadow purpose. Power dynamics. Chandauka's accusations of bullying and misogynoir highlight a deeper issue: the reluctance to cede control to a black woman in a leadership role. Her push for transparency and African-led governance challenged the status quo, threatening Harry's authority as the charity's figurehead. The board's comparison of her leadership to colonial rule is a stark reminder of how racial biases can persist in even the most well-intentioned organizations. The PR machine, the Sussex machine, as Chandauka calls it, represents a broader trend of weaponizing media to control narratives. Leaking internal documents to the press, bypassing board protocols, and pressuring Chandauka to dismiss public tensions are tactics of manipulation, not collaboration. This approach not only destabilized Sentebale, but eroded trust among donors and staff. Cultural clashes. Posts on X suggest a cultural divide at the heart of the crisis, with Chandauka advocating for an African-led approach, while Harry and the board clung to a colonial model. This tension reflects broader questions about representation and power in global charities, where Western patrons often dominate decision-making. The cost of silence. Harry's refusal to address the allegations directly has allowed the narrative to spiral. By stepping back without explanation, he has ceded control to Chandauka's evidence and the media's interpretation. His silence, coupled with Meghan's focus on new ventures, creates an impression of detachment, further damaging their credibility. The crisis also raises questions about accountability in celebrity-driven charities. When a high-profile figure like Harry uses their platform to amplify a cause, their involvement can be a double-edged sword. It draws attention and funds but also risks turning the mission into a personal project, subject to their whims and agendas. Chandauka's stand, backed by documentation, challenges this dynamic, demanding that charities prioritize their beneficiaries over their patrons. The fall of Centabale is a tragedy, not just for Prince Harry but for the children it was meant to serve. What began as a tribute to Princess Diana's compassion has become a cautionary tale about the perils of ego and the fragility of trust. Dr. Sophie Chandauka emerges as a figure of resilience, a leader who refused to be silenced or sidelined, even at great personal cost. Her accusations, supported by a wealth of evidence, have exposed the Sussexes' brand as one built on image rather than integrity. Harry's legacy, once tied to the hope of Centabale, now lies in tatters, a victim of his own actions. The charity's programs, its staff, and its beneficiaries bear the brunt of a conflict that could have been avoided. Meghan's role, while secondary, underscores the broader narrative of a couple unable to escape the trap of their own ambition. Their silence in the face of Chandauka's claims speaks louder than any PR campaign, confirming what many have suspected. The Sussexes' fight is not for justice but for control. As the Charity Commission's inquiry unfolds, the truth will likely come to light, but the damage is done. Centabale's mission hangs by a thread, its future uncertain. Yet in Dr. Chandauka's resolve, there is a glimmer of hope not for the Sussexes, but for the children who still need the charity's support. She stood for principle when others walked away, proving that true leadership doesn't need a crown or a camera. It needs courage, and in that, she has already won.